Now, understand, I'm not talking about one person. What I just told you applies to 7 people. How they all end up with that. That's part of what you get. I came in this business saying I was going to expose. When I talked about Michael Jackson, when I talked about R. Kelly, they canceled me for these things because why would you talk about another black dude? Race is not where the line is drawn. It's God's side and the other side. And we don't care nothing about the other side. Period. All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
And now you have to ask yourself, how did 50 come into the possession of Diddy's footage for Diddy's documentary about Diddy?
A lot of insight. And this documentary is about people being able to tell their truth or tell their version of the story.
For several years, Katt Williams was dismissed as merely a loudmouthed comedian who spoke out of turn. Audiences would laugh, dismiss his claims, and move on. However, everything shifted in January 2024. When Katt joined Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay, the digital world stopped joking and began paying close attention. This was because his statements started aligning perfectly with actual global events. Katt moved beyond simple jokes or the internal politics of the comedy world. He exposed the nature of power. He exposed systemic lies. He exposed a Hollywood industry built entirely on forced silence. Most significantly, he suggested that when the truth regarding Diddy finally surfaced, it wouldn't stop with a single individual. Fast forward to 50 Cent's explosive documentary, The Reckoning. The film was a bombshell, revealing footage, specific timelines, and behavioral patterns that many had only whispered about for decades. Yet, viewers quickly spotted a glaring inconsistency. Specific high-profile names were missing, unmentioned, unexplored, and effectively erased from the narrative. This is where Katt Williams re-enters the frame. According to widespread online speculation, Katt wasn't surprised by these omissions at all. Through his past humor, interviews, and subtle remarks, he seemed to imply that 50 Cent had been pressured to cut certain celebrities from the final edit. This wasn't because the evidence against them was weak, but because the individuals involved were simply too powerful to touch. When Katt Williams spoke during the early months of 2024, he made one specific claim that continues to resonate. He stated that there were untouchable figures within the industry. Not just 1 or 2, but exactly 7. At that moment, no one understood the gravity of that number. However, months later, as Diddy's legal empire crumbled and the documentary premiered, fans began connecting the dots. They revisited Katt's interview and listened with a new perspective. Slowly, a chilling theory began to take shape.
Comedy Jam 25. It's good to see so many funny people together in one room, all wondering the same thing. Is Katt Williams gonna show up?
The concept was straightforward. Diddy was not acting in isolation. He was encircled by a layer of security. Furthermore, a portion of that defense originated from high-profile stars whose reputations held too much influence to be confronted openly. Katt never actually published a formal list. He never explicitly identified all 7 individuals, yet the digital community reacted in its typical fashion. It began connecting the dots and making assumptions. One of the primary figures that consistently appeared in these discussions was Snoop Dogg.
Check out this audio from Suge Knight. It's from his podcast with Dave Mays, and he's speaking on, Tupac and Snoop being cool and how, after Tupac got killed, Snoop started hanging out with Diddy. And, he also speaks on how, Snoop, he did the Steve Harvey show with Diddy after Tupac got killed. Check this out.
Okay. It's downloading right now.
Then you look at the scenario how everybody used Pac to make their stuff famous or make their project better. You got people who use their songs for Pac and tell them how much they love Pac, but they do songs for Puffy. You got Steve Harvey, old bitch ass, this motherfucker telling, well, Pac, according to everybody else, he brings Snoop and Puffy on there and say, These the dudes who's running this in the East Coast, West Coast.
What's up, Snoop?
What's up, huh? Hey, whoa, wait a minute, fellas here, hold up. You know, I know all about this East Coast, West Coast rivalry thing here, but we in Chicago now. This rivalry stuff, we gotta stop it, man. We stop that, we stop a lot of this violence.
Yo, Steve, check this, man. All that East Coast, West Coast stuff is a bunch of media hype. It's been my dog from day one, you know what I'm saying? It's all good between me and him. That's my peoples.
For real, that's what we came in for. We came in to light it up and ride it up. We made music.
Now, Pac, if you love Pac so much, how you with the mother place, they got something to do with the first get down that happened to Pac in New York, then the second one.
What you think about Suge comments? And I never asked you this before, but did you have an issue with Snoop hanging out with Diddy after Tupac got killed?
I always felt that was wrong. I'm gonna just keep it real. I'm talking about from that, like now, okay, you know what I mean? I'm 46, Snoop probably early 50s. If he figured out now, he might go by the opinion like, okay, Puffy had nothing to do with Pac. You know, we grown now. If he want to be his friend, no problem. But back then, that was just awkward. You know what I mean? And the reason why it was awkward to me that I never even like it because you knew how Pac felt about this individual.
The followers highlighted that Snoop had publicly discussed for years his attendance at Diddy's social gatherings. Not on a single occasion, or even twice, but over several decades. Media interviews, comedic bits, and vintage footage all demonstrated how intimately their professional and social networks were intertwined. Following this, rumors surfaced regarding connections to Ali Carter. Digital allegations and long-forgotten stories began to re-emerge. While nothing was ever legally substantiated, there was sufficient chatter to lead the public to question why Snoop was completely omitted from the documentary. According to widespread theories, referencing Snoop would have incited a massive backlash, not only from his fanbase but also from major corporate partners. Snoop is more than just a musical artist. He represents a global brand, a massive business, and a cultural icon shielded on multiple tiers. For many, this status rendered him untouchable. You are being untruthful. You are being untruthful. You are being untruthful. He is being untruthful. You did not even purchase that. Pay attention. He is being untruthful. Pay attention. Pay attention. The mention of Kevin Hart's name caught many individuals off guard. The speculations focused on his early professional associations, specifically events referred to as Flavor Camp. These were industry-specific assemblies connected to Diddy, which were frequently characterized as networking windows for emerging stars.
ET Awards went off without a hitch last night. A sense of that there. No, inside everything was fine, and outside everything was fine. And Kevin Hart decided that he was going to make jokes about, well, I mean, he's the host, right? So you have to sort of roast a little bit about someone who's in the audience because, well, this person is in a prison, actually right now sitting in a courtroom, and that's Diddy. Yes, he didn't say his name, but it was very clear to everyone who he was talking about here. Watch the reactions in the room.
Diddy was a big part of this culture. You know, right. His after parties, you know, were a part of the BET experience. So, you know, life comes at you fast, but, you know, Kevin had to address the elephant in the room.
By the way, we should say the Diddy after parties that happen after award shows, that's not what the trial is about. Those weren't freak-offs. The trial is something separate, but still, nobody wanted to be seen as laughing at him.
Followers started revisiting Kevin Hart's previous stand-up performances. Particular punchlines now appeared unsettling to various spectators, not due to them confirming any facts, but because they provoked inquiries regarding what he potentially witnessed or underwent. Digital conjectures proposed that featuring Kevin Hart would have triggered judicial turmoil. An excess of ventures, an excess of agreements, and an excess of influential production houses were at stake. Once more, nothing was validated, merely a void where inquisitiveness previously resided.
What's going on with Kevin Hart?
I don't know, man. You know, the internet is going wild on him, saying that he was a curator and a narrator of one of the Diddy parties and got caught on tape. You hear that?
Wow. I didn't hear that one.
That must be one of your favorite. That must be one of your favorite comedians then. Cause you ain't hear that?
That was cool.
Huh?
I didn't hear it.
Get out of here.
It was cool, but
I didn't hear that one. I must have missed it, man. I think I caught most of them.
I think he almost fell in the tub with one of the girls. Diddy had some girls in the tub, a tub of baby oil or something like that, and he almost fell in the tub. It was crazy.
You know, he would be one of the celebrities that I definitely wouldn't think would be involved in anything illegal, for sure.
But you gotta realize this, man. People who get caught up in certain those things like that, those parties and things like that, is that they don't go there looking for that stuff. You gotta understand, they get caught up in the moment with the alcohol, the drugs, and then certain bottles that are laced with certain things that take you away from your normal self. And you end up probably doing something that you probably never do again in your life. You'll never get caught up in those things ever before. There are a lot of celebrities that go to these parties like this. And they not only Diddy parties. I went to a party before and You Can't Handle the Truth and King Kong Ain't Got Nothing on Me was at one of those parties. I was bodyguarding one of the girls. So what I'm saying is that it's rampant, and this was years ago. This was over 20 years ago. It's rampant in the music industry. It's rampant in Hollywood, film, pictures, and anything.
Can I tell you a story, Killer? I don't think I ever told you this story. This is what Puff taught me. One time I walked in when I was fresh off the streets. I got signed to Bad Boy. I had these fresh Air Nikes on, and the had on Air Nikes too, brand new. I made a mistake and stepped on his sneaker, and the dirt was on his laces, on his white Airs. I said, man, my bad, because I had stepped in some dirt. You know, the came back, put his feet in the dirt, and stepped all over my sneakers. I said, yo, what are you doing? He said, my bad. I said, yo. The moral of the story is, nobody just want to hear you say you're bad.
Maze might be the most silent individual on the roster, yet also among the most revealing. His past with Bad Boy Records is thoroughly recorded. Legal disagreements, open irritation, and then a sudden withdrawal. When the claims against Diddy emerged, many anticipated Maze to testify. He remained silent. That quietness transformed into its own narrative. Certain followers believe Maze understands more than he will ever disclose openly. Others assume he merely desires tranquility. However, according to conjectures, Maze's participation was excessively intricate, excessively intimate, and excessively near the core of it all. Featuring him would have involved unlocking portals that could never be shut once more.
So Mace was told the day before the incident at the celebrity basketball game that someone was coming for Puffy and Biggie. And another line that Mace said that caught my attention, man, was him saying that never found the killer. Why is there? How do you feel about him saying that? Because it sounds like he's referring to Biggie getting killed in LA, and Puffy, he's currently living in LA right now. And why does he feel so comfortable living somewhere that Biggie got killed at, knowing that they never found the killer and the murder is still unsolved?
Well, on all honesty, brother, you would have to ask him that. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm looking at it like that, then I know, you know, those mansions are heavily guarded, one. Two, he wasn't getting the love that he would get. I don't think he's getting love in LA. I don't know. He say he owns LA, he runs LA, he runs Miami, and he runs New York. So by him running LA, as he say he does, I would feel comfortable too. You know what I'm saying? If I knew for a fact that the person they got. And that was enough to call back all of everything. I would feel that comfortable too. But I wouldn't live there. I wouldn't go there. I'd do business and get on out of there. If I was still afraid. I don't think he may have not ever been afraid. You understand? Because he never acted like he was afraid for whatever reason it was. I can't pinpoint it myself, man.
Hey, what's up, King Son? Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, Daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
Meek Mill's identity joined the discussion following a sound recording that surfaced on the web. The snippet circulated rapidly. Individuals argued over it. Numerous people ignored it. Others considered it significant. Meek refuted any misconduct, yet the harm had already occurred. The digital community held the opinion that if Meek was cited explicitly within the film, it might sabotage the complete launch. Judicial hazards, character assassination lawsuits, and a journalistic frenzy that Netflix potentially wished to avoid. Based on the gossip circuit, this represented one of the most obvious instances of material being removed for endurance, not for accuracy.
Kind of knew back in the day that Meek Mills and Puff was a little too friendly. Anytime two rappers or two people in the industry come dressed up alike on more than one occasion, listen here, man. My dudes in Philly, I got some real strong dudes in Philly. They don't play that. And they probably embarrassed for the fact to see that Meek Mills, one of the street guys that came out of there, got caught up in this Hollywood. Whereas that he's dressing the same. He dressing like Diddy, hugged up with Diddy. I think that Lil Rod know a lot of, but I know this. Two men dress alike, it's just like two men laying down. When they both get up, they both homos. And that's real talk, bruh. My man, you go to a party, dog, and the nigga got the same shirt you got on, I'm taking my shirt off. I'm walking around in a t-shirt. And then, not to blow Meek Mills up out the water or anything like that, it was said that they checked his Google search and all that, and he was searching for some online gay porn and all of that.
Oh, wow.
Crazy, bro. But listen, those are what, it's crazy that money, that lifestyle, and you trying to fit into something get you. These guys never set out to do all this. Meek Mills, when he got into the game, he didn't set out to be questioning about his manhood with Diddy. But he put himself in that position.
Like, where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So
Potentially the most delicate identities involved were Justin Bieber and Usher. Both possessed links to Diddy during the initial stages of their professions. Vintage recordings re-emerged displaying awkward instances. Conversations where circumstances appeared suspicious in retrospect. Justin Bieber's sentimental response to journalist inquiries years afterward merely intensified conjecture. Individuals started questioning if certain adolescent celebrities were shielded at the expense of their health. This represents where numerous people think the film established a firm boundary, not due to the narrative being insignificant, but because it concerned possible casualties and revealing that openly might trigger greater injury than recovery. Consequently, the identity remained excluded.
They don't even bootleg. Yo, they don't even bootleg no more, man. So it's going to be hard to figure it out if it does exist.
Do you believe the guy in the tape is white?
If he's bigger than Diddy and he's not none of the names that I said, probably so. But then they say he was young too.
Yeah, they say he was young.
Let me get his name right. I hope it ain't the Bieber. I hope it's not the Bieber.
That's a good one. It might be him. But if they saying that the guy is young and he's an A-lister, I can't think of that many black people, man.
Right. Not at all. And somebody that more powerful, more of a celebrity than Diddy. You understand what I'm saying? If they were saying somebody that was more celebrity than Diddy, he was an A-lister, he was younger. You know what I'm saying? And if he's not black, it would have to be the Bieber. That's his name, Bieber? They said I got that wrong too. Justin Bieber, allegedly. I don't know, bro.
Right. But when you heard the news that Diddy, he had a tape with another man, did that catch you by surprise or no?
Well, all this shit is by surprise to me. A lot of this shit is by surprise to me, to be totally honest, man. Because I knew Puff, I knew Puff Daddy, I knew Diddy before he was Love and Brother Love and back to Diddy. So, no, but the Diddler, he's the Diddler now. A lot of it's surprising, but it's not unheard of. Because you hear of all kinds of shit, and whether it registered with you or you internalize it or something like that, that's a whole nother story. But a lot of this stuff it's crazy. But this is the world that we live in now, man.
Subsequently, there exists Clive Davis. If Diddy represented a monarch, Clive was perceived as the designer, the sentry, the individual superior to the individual. Followers trust that Clive's omission from the motion picture communicates everything. Not because he required security, but because he personifies the structure itself. Incorporating Clive Davis would not merely reveal a single person. It would reveal how the total profession functions. And that specific variety of revelation seldom receives authorization. Certain people assume this constituted the genuine ultimate boundary.
Stacey Dash, Ray J, Clive Davis, how are they all connected?
I want to say Diddy, but I don't.
We're going to be going through all of those possibilities.
Oh, okay. I wasn't supposed to answer. Okay.
And when we started LA as a Graveyard, then, it was like, okay, we can't just say that anymore, especially after I took them up to 35 for us to film about what happened to Mo there. It's hip hop.
Yeah.
And that's going to be moving on to Tombstone.
Okay.
And we'll be going through the unexpected, unusual deaths, unsolved murders, mysteries, things of that nature, things that I know, things that I'm directly connected to. We want to create this aspect because we want to start teasing people's minds into wanting to get these crimes solved, because the truth is, it seems like the hardest murder to solve in America is a rap murder. They just don't seem to get solved.
Without question.
That's a problem.
Without question.
Because we got over 35, 40 years of hip-hop homicides.
Yes.
How many of them get solved?
They created a whole show. Yeah.
Unsolved hip-hop mystery. Are you kidding me?
Hey.
I have to ask you. You mentioned Clive Davis. They just showed him recently walking into somewhere, and they asked him about Diddy, and he said, "Who?" Is that old age, or does he not? They're not in the same world, or they're in the same world, but they're not cohorts.
He's definitely been his ex.
50 Cent discussed the gossip in his individual manner. He stated, non-fiction films possess restrictions, duration restrictions, installment restrictions, judicial restrictions. However, Katt Williams, via comedy and peripheral remarks seemed to imply differently, that the omissions were not artistic. They were tactical incentives, litigation menaces, circulation coercion, guardianship of influential characters, or shielding individuals who were injured. Nothing validated. Everything was argued, yet the absent identities stayed absent. What persuaded numerous spectators that identities were deleted from the film was not merely who was absent, but how recognizable the arrangement appeared. Individuals who have tracked the amusement sector for years have witnessed this previously. A controversy erupts, one individual accepts the blame, and the remainder of the structure silently retreats back into the darkness.
People have been talking about for some time now. Alex, let me begin with you. The docuseries is entitled Sean Combs, The Reckoning. How is this one different from the others that have been out there?
Well, you know, I think that the biggest marker of what makes this film or this series different is how much time we took into putting into the making of the film, doing our due diligence to get the right voices, you know, to the table, you know, this is a series that spans over 30 years, so just by covering that much time, it took a lot of time for us to dig in and to kind of make sense of this story and to put this timeline together.
Yeah, and there's like some never before seen footage that I'm going to talk to you about in just a moment. But Curtis, people know about this very public, long-standing feud that you've had with Sean Combs. So what brought you to this project?
Well, you know, I just want to make really hit television. I like the idea of it being exciting, and I picked this project and started working on it about 5 months before I found Alex. And I know that she has the artistic integrity that it would take to make it a great project, you know. And there's the Quincy Jones era of production is find me that bass player because he's the baddest man out there in Chicago, and find me that keyboardist and fly them in from Miami, and we put them in and have the greatest jam session they ever heard, and it just always resulted in great hit music. And I take that concept into television production.
You take that into everything you do, sir.
That's right.
You really do. It really comes through, and appreciate that about you. As I said, never before seen footage of the days leading up to his arrest. Can you just talk a little bit about, was there anything that surprised you from that footage?
The footage, well, I mean, I think it's rare to find someone who's being, you know, talked about all over the country. You know, all eyes were on him, you know, so to speak. And it was really interesting to see his last days of freedom, you know, and what was sort of important to him. Obviously, you know, there's phone calls with his attorneys, you know, with his team. It was very interesting to watch a man who's known for his brand presence. You know, he has a really amazing knack for marketing and all of that, and how he was sort of taking that into account in how he was coming off to the public, you know, in the days leading up to his arrest and indictment. So that was interesting. It was also just interesting to see how laid back he was at times. But, you know, the footage also, in the footage, we also see how he's getting incoming, you know, lawsuits are dropping, and to get his real-time perspective on that was sort of jaw-dropping when we first got our eyes on the footage.
Was there anything that surprised you when you were watching the footage?
No, that didn't surprise me at all.
Because you've known him?
Yes, those behaviors, and I think it was surprising that he actually filmed it.
Yeah, and I want to ask about that, because how did you go about getting the footage, and do you know the intent of the videographer, why he or this person took the footage?
She's a journalist, right?
Yeah.
So she's not going to reveal her sources, so you don't have to reveal that.
Not gonna reveal my sources, but I think that partnering with someone like 50, it was very much in the universe as to what we were doing.
It's a lot easier.
Following the debut of Sean Combs, The Reckoning, enthusiasts observed how rapidly the dialogue restricted. The emphasis remained strictly on Diddy. The profound inquiries ceased being posed. Who financed the locations? Who reserved the sites? Who persisted in appearing annually? Who authorized every detail? Digital investigators started likening this instance to previous professional controversies. The identical framework emerged on every occasion. A single identity transforms into the emblem. A handful of startling particulars are permitted release. However, any matter that links excessively numerous influential individuals together is categorized as unauthenticated, hazardous, or damaging to debate.
Walt was telling me on his way here, I didn't see this, but apparently there's another 100 hours of Diddy footage on the cutting room floor?
So Diddy is still doing press. I mean, Diddy. 50.
Diddy is not doing press.
No,
he's doing press on the yard.
He's doing press, like he's doing push-ups. No, 50 is still doing press, and obviously with the success of the Reckoning documentary, he's talking about there's more footage. There's 140 hours that he has. And each episode was only maybe an hour, I think. Mm-hmm. There was 4 episodes, so there's at least 130 something more hours that he hasn't edited or produced. And he's saying that he may put it out on YouTube, just to put it out there,
like on his 50 Cent Vivo page.
I don't know if it'll be on his page, but he just said he doesn't know if he's going to release it with Netflix or through Netflix. He might just put it out on YouTube or wherever, some other platform. But the one thing that he said that was interesting is he said because you see people out here trying to say, oh, the documentary can paint a narrative, this and the third, and his words were if you see the rest of this footage, there will be no more kind of like, oh, you can paint this narrative. It's pretty clear cut, the things that are being said in the documentary, the things that he still can't believe Puff, because he says that a lot, like he can't believe Puff actually recorded all of it.
Yeah. But I mean, so why does 50 not put that, if it's that damning and that crazy, why not put it in the doc?
I don't know why. I don't know why he didn't put it in the doc. Maybe, the stories, maybe he had more people that he would need to interview and have sit down for the documentary to kind of go through those stories that are in there. It could be a number of reasons, but the fact that he has over 100 hours of footage of, personal footage and things like that leading up to the case, because the story is Puff felt like he was going to win the case.
Yeah.
And that this was going to be footage for his documentary that he would have released.
The Redemption.
After the trial was done and things like that. So, the amount of things that he probably was recording, just going off of the fact that he felt like they were going to win the case.
Yeah. This is my footage and these guys aren't going to put it out.
Yeah.
Like all the crazy shit we're going to take out.
Right.
But I mean, even I did see who I think was the director of what Diddy was trying to do had mentioned that he was on vacation or was out of town and had someone fill in for him. And that's the only footage that made it to the doc because that guy sold it. So maybe that director didn't pay the person to fill in, so he owned the footage and was able to give it away. But maybe all this other footage, 50 doesn't have permission to put out. Like,
okay,
he could have it, but the director's like, no, this is my footage. Like, you got the other because I had my mans fill in for me for 3 days, and he has that footage now.
Right.
So maybe that could be it. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like 50 is so petty that if it was that crazy, he would have just put in the doc. But who knows? I don't even want to speculate what is on the 100 hours.
Yeah.
After Lil Rod telling me what was going on, I don't know if I want to see it visually.
I mean, and for 50 to say the footage that's on there is it leaves no more room for people to kind of say, oh, the narratives are being created, it's false. For 50 to say that, I mean, we can only imagine the footage that he's seen and that he has. So we'll have to see if any of that ever sees the light of day. I'm sure that Diddy's team is going to do everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen. But I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know if I need to see anything else.
This is the point where Katt Williams' remarks began to appear less as comedy and more as an admonition. He never claimed the reality would be rejected. He stated it would be managed, that particular narratives would be pruned just sufficiently to safeguard the larger perspective. Spectators also observed how rapidly other stars became mute. Consultations were aborted. Digital media entries vanished. Aged photographs were discreetly eliminated. It was not hysteria. It was tactics. The sort that solely occurs when individuals understand the regulations of endurance. Whether or not 7 identities were truly extracted, the response itself narrated a tale. People were not shielding Diddy. They were shielding distance. And that might be the most telling component of all. Because when quietness circulates quicker than evidence, it typically signifies the reality struck nearer than anyone desires to acknowledge. Katt Williams never asserted he was a champion. He asserted he was a reality teller, and reality tellers frequently converse in enigmas when the reality is perilous. Whether the roster is genuine or envisioned, one matter is certain. Diddy's collapse did not arrive in isolation. It forced open a portal. And behind that portal is a profession that still declines to entirely inspect itself. The inquiry currently is not who was extracted. The inquiry is who will never be permitted to be identified at all. And as Katt Williams cautioned, some realities are not concealed because they are erroneous. They are concealed because excessively numerous influential individuals require them to remain entombed. If certain identities were too influential to incorporate, then how many realities are we still not permitted to perceive? Inform us what you believe in the remarks underneath. If you enjoy this motion picture, strike that membership control so that you never fail to notice any fresh motion pictures. And until afterward, kin, remain authentic.